Well, that was a movie.
Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Better Man, which, by the way, so this is actually also going to be, we're a podcast now, so if you want, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. For those of you who are listening there already, this is also on YouTube if you're interested. But anyway, to the movie. So, Better Man, if you don't know what it's about, it's that monkey movie you've been seeing trailers for. It's a biopic about singer-songwriter Robbie Williams, who actually plays himself in this movie as a CGI monkey. And it's directed by Michael Gracey, who, if you don't know who that is by his name, he's the director of The Greatest Showman. So, yeah, it was a musical. How did you, okay, we were building up anticipation for this movie for months. You were so excited to see this, right?
Of course. The Monkey Man movie.
The monkey!
I have been dying for the Monkey Man movie, and I definitely was not completely turned off by the idea of a monkey main character and only saw this because of this podcast here. But I will admit, I'm pleasantly surprised.
This movie... Are we late into the... I don't know if that I can swear. This movie was fucking awesome. This was one of the best biopics I've ever seen. And the best one I've seen in a long time.
This was pretty good. I have to say, the monkey stuff, kind of distracting outside of that one scene. It kind of made sense all in that one scene. It's like,
right, sure.
That'd be a little hard with humans.
Right. It definitely was. It definitely was a gimmick. Like, it was a way to bring people in the door because, by the way, Robbie Williams is very popular around the world, but not in America. I had never heard of him before this movie. Me neither. And so it was partially, I think, a gimmick to get people in seats, but it was also just an artistic expression, which is a choice. I would never have made the choice, but I kind of loved it, honestly. Listen, I feel like I would not have heard about this movie if it were not for the choice. I also think the choice might have steered people away. Yeah. But for those of us who went, wow. Yeah. Very surprising. A really good movie. Yeah. And honestly, even if, like, the monkey thing hadn't been in it, granted, I probably wouldn't have been as eager to see it, but it would have still been the same thing. I mean, granted, the monkey thing, that choice being an original choice that nobody else is doing right now, it definitely elevated it, but not, like, a lot. It was already by itself a really good movie, and like I said, one of the best biopics I've ever seen because, like, first of all, they get into the nitty gritty. Like, drugs aren't just hinted at for one scene. No. It's like a constant throughout. He talks about suicide and depression. He shows all of his flaws. He gets into, like, dude, the last, 10 minutes of this movie, I cried multiple times throughout this movie, but the last 10 minutes had me bawling for, the 10 minutes straight. Yeah, I had some tears, and that was the last few moments. I was trying to fight it, but I couldn't. So I wasn't. Softy at heart. I was not fighting it at all. I was just streaming down. Yeah, dude, I don't know. What an experience, and I don't know how it appeals to people who are, fans of Robbie Williams already. Like, I kept waiting for maybe there's going to be a song I'll recognize. At least an original one. I recognized some covers. Did not recognize a single Robbie Williams song in this movie, but I don't know. I didn't care. It could have almost been a fictional movie, but you get the added joy of knowing it's not, and the story's real. At least as far as I know, he's heavily involved in it. So it is the first biopic in a while, and I haven't seen most of them, but it's the first one in a while where it seems like maybe the person that it's about actually wanted to show what their real life was like. Yeah. At least a little bit. We have no idea if any of that was true or not. The pictures at the end, it very much seems like it might be, and we would hope. But he didn't seem like he's trying to hide all his dirty secrets. They were pretty out there, pretty heavy stuff too. Yeah, and it was crazy that okay, so the last biopic we just saw was the Bob Dylan one, and I in that was see, this is example A, exhibit A, why the person isn't involved in their own biopic. It's a bad idea, and you see it all the time. Like we mentioned Bohemian Rhapsody, the same thing, where it's when you're involved, you're gonna skew things. This is the first time that I've completely changed my mind. If you've got somebody involved involved in making a story about their own life, who actually wants to tell the real story, you elevate it so much because there was so much added detail and context and emotion to this that you never would have gotten if he wasn't actually involved in there. At least I don't think, because you're talking about his true life motivation, his passions, his reason why he is the way he is. And it's like, you're not going to get that from some scholar writing about him or whatever if you do this movie in 20, 30 years or whatever, and he's not involved. Him being involved made the movie so good.
Oh, no, 100%. Definitely the rare case of someone trying to really tell their tale. Honestly, the last time I don't know if I've seen a biography movie that was this raw and real, but I did read the Ozzy Osbourne autobiography.
Yeah.
That felt like this. He was real, raw, honest.
He was a monkey.
That's how when I read it, I pictured him as a monkey.
As an ape, actually.
Yes,
it was slightly different.
And then when he bit the head off the bat, that was animal on animal action, not a human. It was fine then.
I loved the part in this movie where his wife screams at him, "You're an animal." I'm like, yes, he is. By the way, he does explain, not in the movie, they never actually mention it at all in the movie, which is hilarious.
No, that's great.
But he, in interviews, talked about, it's like his spirit animal or whatever, and two, he always kind of felt like an outcast and different than everybody else. So there are reasons to do it. It is just a creative choice that, frankly, biopics aren't typically creative. They all follow the cookie cutter formula. They all do the exact same thing. So they're not going to make any dangerous decisions. And that was an extremely dangerous decision that, like I said, paid off to me.
Okay, so
What? What?
It was definitely a brave decision. I don't know how much it paid off. Him being honest and open with his story, whether he was a monkey or they got a person to play him, I think would have still made this biopic just as fine.
It would have been good either way.
Maybe we wouldn't be talking about it, because I definitely don't think I would have heard about this movie at all had he not been a monkey.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree.
It's a smart decision to get people talking about it. Box office wise, I don't think that was a great.
No, it didn't pay off monetarily, but for me and my enjoyment level, it paid off.
It was pretty interesting, as much as it was distracting.
Yes. You know what else is distracting? Your leather fucking gloves.
I can't help it. I'm cold.
Show them to the camera. You look like a fucking villain in a whodunit.
Listen, man, I'm breaking.
Turn on the gas real quick. Smoke them out. Burn the letters.
I can't leave any fingerprints, man.
Burn the evidence. I do want to get into spoilers because I feel like there's a lot to talk about. Because once again, this is a in-depth, very interesting psychological film that is so above and beyond what you expect from biopics. It's like an actual artistic movie that's good. It's shocker.
It's kind of wild because outside of the choice to make him a monkey, and I will admit that did make him easy to pick out of crowds.
Sure.
That helped that. Now, I've never seen a movie or TV show had a problem trying to highlight a single person in a large crowd before, but that did make it pretty easy.
It made it easy, sure.
Yeah. But I will say,
I would love to find out that it wasn't his idea at all, and then he didn't know until he saw the trailer. And he's like, "What the fuck, guys?"
Now that would be crazy. They just spring it up. Listen. I know we talked about a straightforward biopic, but we had an idea. All right, bear with me now.
Well, monkey with me, actually. I think part of it, too, it makes it easy for him to be all these different ages, especially with him playing himself. So he can, sneak in there seamlessly and it not be noticeable.
It is definitely... Because I didn't know he was playing himself. I knew nothing about
He didn't the
casting.
entire time, but he did at some point.
I'm assuming adult... Maybe late teenage him is mostly.
I think there was a kid one, a teen one, and then he was the adult one. I think
that's fine. And I have to say, having the person there to play themselves, be their own personality, they know themselves. Yeah. That's very
as long
inspired
as you,
choice.
do it authentically.
Yeah, and what I was saying before is, it is crazy that we have the bar set so low in movie biopics that honesty is blowing our minds.
Yeah.
Just some raw honesty. I mean, he's grown as a person.
Authentic emotion.
No one cares what he did in the past. It's over now.
And just showing you like actual drug usage instead of just like, because in these biopics, like either they skirt around it completely or there's just one scene of drugs and they're like, oh my God. This one's like, yeah, no, he did drugs constantly for his lifetime.
No, listen, better not be a group with one dead member, all right? Because that person did all the drugs, all right? We tried to stop him the whole time.
Oh my God, I can't believe he did cocaine. The rest of us were clean, I swear.
He had his whole head in a pile. It certainly wasn't for all of us.
No. What would you rate it? I'm on the fence here, a very important fence, and I'm wondering where you're at with a rating.
I feel like I could potentially go 8.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm right on that 7.5 to 8 fence.
That
Like
sounds
I'm
about fair.
scared of jumping over. Maybe it's just like the shock value of how good it was, but I'm like, I'm mad now that this wasn't like released a month ago. Why was this not released for the holidays? And it wouldn't have been able to compete because nobody knew who he was. But like,
No, yeah.
this is the best movie I've ever seen in January, I think. Because January movies are always shit. That's like the point of January, is dumping the bad movies that nobody thinks is going to make any money.
I'm telling you, I don't know where this monkey gimmick started, but somewhere along the process, everyone realized this was not a great decision for the box office, and they just pushed us to January.
Yeah, especially not in America, because just nobody knows who he is.
But I will admit, it's the only reason anyone in America is talking about him.
Yes, and it is, yeah, a legitimately great movie that would have been high up on my top 10 list last year. So, shocker. Like, I mean, I thought, this will be pretty good, I think. Could be fun. But I was thinking, like, pretty good as in, like, 6.5. No, it's not. It's so much better than that.
Oh, gosh. I would just, like, of course, I thought this would be a crazy joke movie the whole time before the movie started, and then I saw the box office numbers. I thought, oh gosh, the crazy joke movie is bombing. Who would have guessed? And then I remember hearing, wow, the critics love it. Well, that's going to be interesting. I don't know how much we actually agree with the critics.
I agree with the critics a lot, typically.
Okay, I don't know how much I agree with the critics, but I agree with them today.
Yeah, it's got a 77% and like a 7.7 on IMDb.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's
it's
not-
doing quite well.
Oh.
I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes, because I don't check. I don't care.
I think it was in the high 80s, but I think I was hearing that secondhand, so I didn't really check myself.
Fair enough. So, yeah, that's what we had to think spoiler-free. We're going to get into spoilers now, though. A lot to talk about. Very entertaining. I hope it's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it for its word.
There's one scene that's, I hope is more true than others.
A couple of them, to be fair.
I'm looking for the footage out there. I don't think we're going to find it too much.
But yes, so if you don't want anything spoiled, you should click away, go watch it, come back, and we can talk about it then. But also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you're new here, and also follow the podcast there as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah, that's the thing, too, now. You have to actually say bye, because people can only hear you now.
I'm trying. I'm learning.
Yeah, so I think I know you want to talk about the scene, but before we get
We'll
into
get there.
that, the first moment, and like I was enjoying the whole movie up until this point, but the moment I was like, holy shit, for the first time, was when he gets kicked out of the band and he's driving away, and it's like an artistic moment after artistic moment. Like he thinks he's about to, head-on collision into this car, but it's actually just the lights of a bus, and he sees his dad leaving, and he's reliving that moment, and then he swerves off the road, and he goes plunging into the lake, and then the lake freezes, and he's got all of these fans mad at him for breaking up their favorite boy band, and then the ice shatters, and then he's surrounded by reporters. I was like, this is amazing. What no biopic has ever, that I've seen, gone this far to like show something, not literally. Like, when was the last, if ever, you've seen a biopic that wasn't just everything was just literal? We went here, we wrote this song, we performed here, we broke up, we got back together, he did drugs. Like, this was like, hey, figurative shit.
And I mean, it still has all the same beats of everybody's musical story.
Sure.
But I guess making him a monkey just gave them artistic freedom finally. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we can be creative because he's
their
not.
way.
Yes.
They did it their way.
That I will have to give them. This is
Yeah.
definitely the most creative real person biopic I've seen.
Yeah, no, and I love the decision making. Like, it was just so many bold decisions. Like I said, biopics are so fucking boring.
Yeah.
They're so boring. They're
like,
all the same fucking thing.
And I was positive this would hit most of the same numbers, but never in the way it did.
Yeah, no, it's still, I mean, and because I'm assuming it happens to a lot of people. Like, he did drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it
got
seems like the
divorced,
classic musician thing.
He lost his friends.
Yeah.
He had to go to rehab. So it's like a lot of things we see, but it's like,
Yeah.
because it actually happened, you're not going to ignore it.
No.
You're going to talk about it, But like, yeah, it didn't do it in a stereotypical way. It showed it happen naturally, and it wasn't like, there's even just little moments where it's like, all right, we don't have a lot of time to spend on this marriage and the baby that they lost and stuff, because it's like, well, that's important, but we can't really spend as much time as it deserves. So here we've got a montage of it, but instead of it being a cheesy montage that's just like, oh my god, here's a montage, it's playing during this song. It's like a music video.
Yeah.
And it was just like, just little moments like that elevate it so much above, like I said, like any other biopic I can think of seeing ever. I'm trying to think of literally one other biopic that was creative at all. Like Elton John's Rocket Man was creative because it was like a fucking musical. Like that was as bold as they went.
Well, listen. This one can match that level. It's also a musical.
Yeah, Greatest Showman. Love the choreography, by the way. There's a couple of fun dance montages and stuff. It was fun.
Oh yeah, all the small room work.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
A lot of gay shit.
We put the gay scene for 18 months, and then they finally booked us a club with women.
Like, and I never thought about it before, but I'm like, I guess that makes sense.
It makes total sense, but like,
never thought about it before. I just kept thinking about like One Direction playing gay clubs.
yeah. I couldn't remember when exactly they were the band in this movie was supposed to have formed. So I don't know like
90s.
what their ages were at the time. Like,
Oh, he was 15 when they
16,
started.
15. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then like they're in the gay clubs.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, what the hell? I
Yeah.
guess that showed
really
us back
blew my
then.
mind, because during the credits they show the real pictures, and so they show him when the band starts. And he's so young.
Yeah.
Because like you hear 15 and you're like, yeah, okay, and then you see the picture and you're like, holy shit. Yeah, he was a kid doing this shit. That's insane. Nobody should get famous that young. It's so bad for you. But yeah, I don't know. I guess UK boy bands are just like, I thought American boy bands were gay. UK boy bands are so gay. Like, why were they having them dancing assless chaps and shit? What was that about?
Listen, we gotta excite the crowd.
Yes. Does that work with women? I know it works with gay guys, but was it working with the women?
I gotta assume so.
I guess.
Listen. Let's think back to the days, all right? Height of NSYNC, all right?
Okay.
You think Justin Timberlake at the height of NSYNC and some assless chaps wouldn't have gotten a crowd of women going?
He could have done anything and it would have worked.
Damn straight, see?
I mean, he beatboxed at the fucking MTV Awards, whatever the hell that was, and that got him going. So, whatever JT did worked.
I don't know if I remember the same thing, but I do remember that Dirty Box song where I remember doing that all the damn time myself. I could go little noise for noise. So, I had that down, man.
Bam, bam.
Yes, I had my boy band phase.
We all did.
At
It's
8.
okay. But so yeah, let's get to the scene, because it started off like funny to joy to then tears. In rapid succession. So he's finally doing the biggest show of his life,
Right.
which most movies would end at, by the way, and this movie
I
keeps going.
Very much thought it was going to end there, and I was going to bring that up and be like, you know how the Bob Dylan movie ended at their concert? Well, I guess I should have expected that, but whatever. This, they were clearly building up to it, and so I guess if it's gonna end there and we're just gonna slideshow the rest of his life, fine. That's whatever.
But
no,
why?
they
Like,
kept
yeah.
going.
Yeah, and I'm so
Thank
glad they
God.
did, because that last 20 minutes was the best part of
It
the movie.
was so great.
Yeah.
Seeing the real pictures at the end, it would be damn stupid move not to include that in the movie.
Yeah.
That was just an obvious layup right there.
Yeah. So the whole movie, his like insecurity and self-doubt and self-hatred is portrayed by seeing other versions of himself in the crowd. And as he gets older, there's more of them because it's all the different ages we've seen him out in the crowd. And so at this point, at the peak of his fame and career, if you will, he's got an army of himself in the crowd all telling him he's awful and he's gonna die. And so up until this point, he's been ignoring them, trying to at least. And then he's like, all right, I need to meet my enemies. He's viewing them as enemies. Like, I need to defeat my enemies. And so it goes into this like 300 Zack Snyder type fight thing, which is hilarious. Like, you start laughing at first and then you're just like enjoying it. And then he has to kill his child version last.
Yeah.
And then eventually he sees himself and he turns around knowing that he then needs to kill himself to kill that one. And all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck. And you're just wrecked by this moment because he's become his own enemy. And anybody that like has dealt with depression or suicidal thoughts, that's like how they view their life, is like, you are the reason your life sucks. Everything is your fault. So the only thing you can do to make life better for everybody else is to kill yourself. And they put that so visually plainly and just laid it out there. And I was just like, God damn. Like, it just like, it gave you this hilarious moment and then immediately just took all the air out of the room. Like, yeah, that's what I thought, bitch. And you're like,
it was so shocking when he just, because he picks up the mic stand, starts using it as like a spear, starts killing all the version of himself in the crowd. And then, yeah, the kid version pops up and you're like, oh, damn.
Yeah. And then the teen version. I think the last one is like the version that had just joined the band or whatever. I'm not sure exactly because it looked like it was his exact reflection, but then it was like, but it's not, it's slightly different. So I'm not sure exactly, but it's like, yeah, then he killed himself to kill that, or at least tried to kill himself by slitting his wrist. It's like, damn. Like, damn. You know?
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, is he gonna like survive this because he's doing it in the freezing cold and someone's gonna like stumble upon him real soon? And thankfully he stopped. I was glad to see that.
Yeah,
but
that
I was like, oh gosh, wait, is this how like he lives this one?
Yeah. I was already crying because of the realization of like the hating self thing.
Yeah. And
then when he dropped the razor and walked away, just like turned on the faucets even higher. I was just like, oh my God, you go, Robbie. Yeah. So then from there he went to rehab. Which there was a really cool scene in rehab where he's in his bed and there's like a ceiling fan and the room just keeps shrinking. So he gets closer and closer to the ceiling fan and is just like terrified of it.
Yeah.
Just to like, that's just a really cool, quick way to show withdrawal. Like, really cool. The first thing I noticed at least was like the doorknob fell off as the floor passed it. It like knocked the doorknob off. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little visual. And then I was like, and the ceiling fan is chopping apart whatever he was holding. It was like paper or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there he does one more final concert, like one night with Robbie Williams, and he has a moment where he brings his dad up on stage, and it's just like, oh,
yeah,
fuck.
And like the whole movie, you clearly see the connection with his father. When he's a kid, his father sings all the big band acts. You know, They especially love Sinatra together. They sing it together. And then his father, you know, he wants to be in showbiz. He gives that line that I think I remember from the trailer.
Yeah.
You either have it or you're nobody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he feels like he has it. He definitely wants it.
Yeah.
And no matter how few people he plays for, he's gonna chase it. And so he leaves. The dad leaves. Yeah, the dad leaves, and he goes to be his small-time showbiz, and he doesn't come back for 6 years, and we find out later he only comes back because the grandmother told him he had to come back and get present with the son. And he sticks around because Robert becomes Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
And of course he's going to stick around. His son's, you know, getting, what did you say before? He's becoming one of the gods of showbiz or whatever.
Yeah.
There's one point Robbie Williams is, I'm assuming, drugged out and drunk.
Yeah, right before the really big show that he murdered all of themselves at.
It's becoming very clear that every single show he's doing is causing him panic attacks.
Yeah.
He has extreme stage anxiety building up to this show that seems to be everything he's ever wanted, or at least everything his father's ever wanted. and he wants to please his father, but he blows up at his dad for not being around for Robert, but being around for Robbie.
It was a great conversation too, because it's like, as they're fighting back and forth, I'm like, you're right, no wait, you're right, no wait, you're right. It was like just a really good conversation where you're like, I can see both sides to this, and I feel bad for both of them, and I also hate both of them at the same time. It was such a great moment that, like, normally in those fights it's like, you never loved me, well, fuck you, get over it, and that's the whole thing. It was just like, no, they're real people having a real fight, a real argument, and that made that scene so much better than you ever normally see in these kind of movies.
Yeah, and it definitely makes the reconciliation feel a lot better in the end too.
Right. And it's such a rewarding moment for Robbie too, where it's like, yeah, that scene's really important because it's about reconciliation, but it's also about Robbie realizing why he does what he does. Because earlier, the Nicole character, his ex-wife, asks him when they first meet, what are you trying to prove? Like, who are you trying to prove to? And he says, everybody. And he's just trying to prove that he's got it. And then it's not explicitly said, but you get out of that moment, you get out of that scene that, like, all he ever really wanted to do was sing with his dad. He didn't care about performing. He just wanted to have that moment with his dad, and now he finally gets to do that. And it's like, once again, turn the tears right back on.
Yeah, no, that moment got me. That had me in tears.
And then he got all of his other versions in the crowd again, but now that they're seeing him finally do the right thing, they all approve now, because he's won his own approval now. And it's like, that's what it's about. He did what he wanted to do his way, and so now he doesn't hate himself for it anymore. He approves of himself, and he's had that reconciliation moment with his dad, and it's just like, it's so good. Oh my god. And then he goes to the graveyard and watches TV with his
grandma. Yeah. And his grandma storyline too.
Yeah, when she had that, like, dementia moment where
that was
she
sad.
traveled back in time to when he was 15, and then she realizes she's having a moment, so just loses it.
I didn't even think it was just because she had that moment, but it was because she told him in that moment.
She admitted something she wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, she admitted in that moment that the dad only came back into his life because she brought the dad back.
Yeah.
And she was never gonna tell him that, and she couldn't. She immediately realized what she did, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then him, during his long time bender, seemingly, and going through these big shows, he starts to ignore his mom's phone calls when his grandmother's going through this dementia, and so he misses when she's on her deathbed. They don't get to say goodbye.
Which, once again, that's something that, like, yeah, you might see that in a lot of biopics, but it just felt so much more authentic when they did it. Like, and then the scene, following that, where he goes to the funeral and he's being surrounded by a mob of people while he's just trying to, mourn. That was a really powerful scene, too. This movie just, I don't know, it hit on all cylinders. It just... Oh, man.
I gotta say, it really helped with the grandma, especially, because you knew when the dad came back into his life, I knew the dad was going to be present, because, he's going to be, present enough because he's going to be famous at that point. But, like, with the grandmother, it could have just been the grandma scenes at the beginning where they're watching TV together and eating chips on the couch and seeing the showbiz. And then the end where, he definitely loved her, but now she's dead, whatever. But getting him to go back and see her and sit on the couch with her and interact with her more and more as he's changing, her little comments on him.
That flashback, too, of her telling him the story of King Arthur, that really got me, too. That was such a great scene.
Sexy nights.
Yeah, sexy nights with their big muscles. You're just a little wimpy boy. Good movie. Really fucking good movie.
It was. I still say the monkey shit was a little distracting.
A monkey.
But
I know I said it earlier, or I guess last year now. What was 2024's obsession with monkey movies? We had Monkey Man. We had this. We have that Monkey coming out soon. So many monkey movies. I don't get it. Planet of the Apes last year. Monkeys everywhere.
It wasn't the year of the monkey, was it?
I don't know. I don't know. But there's actually a funny story I heard Robbie Williams tell about this, where so the director came to him, I think it was the director, before they had decided what animal he was going to be, because they knew they were going to make him a spirit, like his spirit animal. But the director came to him and said, "So what do you think your spirit animal is?" And he goes, "A lion." And the director goes, "We both know that's not true. What is it really?" And he goes, "A monkey." He was like, "That's what I thought." So this movie could have been about a lion, but it was not.
Now that would have been interesting. I gotta have the lion stand on 2 feet.
And sing. It would have been fucking Wizard of Oz.
Opposable thumbs now.
We're king of the forest. Oh god, that would have been great. Yeah, I would have given that one a 10. That would have been a 10. Even better. All right, well, I think that's pretty much it. We got to get inside for Wolfman.
Ah,
Yippee.
It's great. It's great to end on the movie we're sure is going to be better than this one.
God damn. Well, I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, unless you got anything else.
No, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, please watch it. It's good. Like I said, bare minimum of 7.5. It might be an 8. It's really, really good, really enjoyable. It hits you in all the right ways. If you got like sentimental side to you at all, if you're a crier, you're gonna cry. So yeah, go watch it. Monkeys and all. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I said earlier, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. Also follow the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
It's mine.